Yep. And I want to highlight you, Frank. So there we go. So the so the very first question I want to ask you, Frank, and then you can kind of run as you want to run. And it's really an open format. We like to have you kind of share what's on your heart. But you were the very first person to say yes to the Ambit opportunity. Which means you had a special connection to Chris and Jerry to make that list of however many names it was, 10 names that they put together. So that means you know them in a way that a lot of people probably don't. Kind of give us some insight on what that was like to be, if we were a fly on the wall the day that, Frank was shown the business and that you decided to say yes to it. But also kind of give us insight on the character of the leaders of this company, because everything rises and falls on leadership. And you have insight that a lot of us don't have. So share away.
Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully you can hear me pretty clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to everybody and share a little bit about my Ambit journey and kind of what was some of the precursors as to why and how I got started with Ambit and where it's led to, especially up to today. And so for me, my background is telecommunications. I was the CEO of a nationwide telephone company and had actually been industry colleagues with our CEO, Jerry Thompson. And so we had done some business transactions in the course of being in the same industry. And right simultaneous to when they were getting ready to start the energy company. And I think maybe if you've heard Jerry talk when he goes on the executive tours, he talks a little bit about, the transition from getting out of telecom and going into the energy space. And he talks about the day that they, filed their paperwork and they're going to do this electricity thing. And so that's literally how long ago I've known about that they were going to be transitioning, because we were doing this business transaction together around that time, right in that time frame. And so it was interesting, having obviously been industry colleagues and knowing Jerry for many years and knowing about him even before that, having him built, successful fiber optic companies and then getting back into telecom. But so he was talking about that they were looking at trying to figure out the best way of starting an energy company. And so, for me, I was busy running and operating my business. And so I said, all right, well, when you get a little bit closer down the road, let me know what you're doing and kind of keep me in the loop. And so we agreed that that's how it was going to work, was he was going to, get back with me. I'd also befriended, obviously, some of the early employees of Ambit, a gentleman by the name of Scott Lawrence, and Nate was still there, and some of the other folks that were there in the early time. And so when the time came, they made the introduction between Chris and Jerry, and Jerry and Scott and a couple other gentlemen called me up and said, hey, we want to introduce you to Chris Chambliss. Come down and meet Chris and let him explain to you what it is that we're going to be doing. And I said, okay, great. And so I remember going down there, listening to Chris, and I joke around a lot about it, but I tell people that when we first started that, and he was explaining it to me, it was like another language, because he was drawing stick figures and, he was putting quarters over here and quarters over there and different names. And I didn't understand what an RC was, what an SC, EC, NC. I didn't understand any of that nonsense. And now I do. So at least I feel like I've learned something over the past 12 years. But really what was interesting for me was the fact of being able to hear what he was talking about. And having been in telecommunications, I saw what happened with the Excel phenomenon. And so since I couldn't participate in that, because I was a vendor actually of Excel, one of their many vendors. And so, it really hit me, because I was like, okay, well, I missed that boat, but I wasn't going to miss this boat. And especially knowing the character and the quality of individual that Jerry was, and getting to know Chris and getting to hear what he was talking about and how excited he was. I mean, I was just interesting. I was just reading a statistic not too long ago that, people we talk about as we do training. And so it was this interesting statistic to me was that it's 55% based off of presence and based off of body language is, how people perceive things. 38% is based off of tonality, and only 7% is words. And so when Chris was talking to me about it, I literally could read his body language and I could hear his tone and the excitement that was in there about what he was about ready to embark on, and how, having him seen it over at Excel and then now bringing it over to Ambit, how it was just going to be, something that I didn't want to miss out on. And so, I did like every good husband. I went home and I shared it with my wife and said, hey, this opportunity is in front of us. It's going to be awesome. I verbally threw up all over her, told her everything under the sun, which she probably didn't really care about. And the one thing that I didn't learn was that I wasn't reading her cues too well at that time, because she was basically telling me no while I was so excited to tell her everything about it. And so, long story short, she said, listen, you're not even home now. How are you going to do another business? And I said, well, the great thing about it is it's not for me, it's for you. And she was like, yeah, I don't think so. I got 3 kids at home. I'm good. I'll take care of them. And so it was interesting, the dynamics of how we finally made the decision, or as I like to say, I made the decision. And so I went back and talked to Chris and Jerry, signed up. I actually signed up Sandra, which is my wife. And so after her telling me no, I had to now go home and tell her that she was the proud owner of an Ambit Energy business. And that cost me a couple days on the couch, but it's okay. We've done pretty well from that decision over the past 12 years almost. So, but we got started, and we were fortunate enough to really see all the inner workings in the very beginning of literally watching this company grow from where 1, 2, maybe 4 kits would go out in a day. And then, I remember coming back a couple weeks later and there was 30 kits going out. And then all of a sudden come back and they had the whole first floor, which was doing nothing but printing and collating and putting kits together. And now obviously, fast forward almost 12 years and we've had, over 400 and something thousand people come in to the business. And so it's been amazing. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that, having been there from day one and then even to today, and still even more excited today than I think I was then, just because of, just the direction of where we're going and what's happening and what the company's offering and what we're going to continue to do, for many, many years to come.
That's awesome. What were you saying, Christina?
Oh, well, I was talking.
Okay.
Oh, I was saying, when we met you, I love the fact that you're able to go with your son now. You have time freedom to go see him golf and go in tournaments and, be really part of his life, which, touched me because I can be with my son and just look more for the future. And Ambit's allowed you to do that. So.
Absolutely. It's allowed me to buy back my time. I didn't tell you that I sold my company in 2008 and have never looked back. I mean, I love this opportunity, especially because it has allowed me the freedom of being able to spend time. I mean, I was on the golf course earlier this afternoon, walking around with my son while he was taking a lesson. And so, I mean, that's the beauty of it is being able to be out there and to be a part of their life and really watching the enjoyment of watching them grow up and seeing everything. And I definitely think it has to do with, the comfort of knowing that what Ambit has started and what it continues to pay on a monthly basis and weekly basis is just, there's nothing like it.
Question, Frank, is you were in telecom. Were you ever in any type of MLM or direct selling company? Never
before. This is the first foray, because listen, everybody's always heard the stories about network marketing. Oh, it's, there's always the scam. There's always something, the pyramid, or, somebody's doing something unscrupulous, or you have to pay more for something. And so they've never really made sense to me before. This, electricity and gas, natural gas really makes sense to me because I'm paying that bill. I remember when Chris did a video about the objection of, hey, we're not changing somebody's buying habit. We're in everybody's budget month in and month out. And if we can save you a little bit of money, maybe give it to you for free, it's a no-brainer. And so, I mean, that literally resonated with me from the very beginning because I didn't want to go out there and have to really, start selling to people and kind of get into that, oh man, are they going to get it at Walmart cheaper or are they going to be able to get it somewhere else? And here it's, the beauty of it is that it's not discretionary income. It's the fact that we are in everybody's budget month in and month out. It's the perfect auto ship. And that really, really resonated with me. Yeah. And now on your opinion, when you look at Ambit as a company, what percentage of the company would you say is an energy company and what percentage is a network marketing company? Oh, wow. That's, I know Jerry always talks about that he's a data processing guy. They're a data processing company. He says, we happen to use energy as, the way we go to market, but we're really a data processing company. I don't know how to answer that because, I think the truth about the company is that's what they're focused on is, as individuals, we're the ones that are out there actually in the network marketing side of the business and the relationship-based business. And so I think they do a great job of supporting us. But, again, the whole premise behind what Jerry always talks about is the fact that they're a data processing company and electricity is just happened to be the service that they're offering and that they're going to market with. And so I know we're in the network marketing business, but, I truly feel that, we're in a relationship-based business and we're out there trying to build relationships and helping people become financially free. So it's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Sorry, I should have that one set up already. I got to write that down so that I get a better answer on that one.
Yeah, because I always try to say is like we're really not a network marketing company as much as it's something else or energy, and that really kind of shines in the way that they lead. They make decisions based on what's smart with the bottom line. So,
Right.
Now as far as the system goes, we always preach the system, we teach the system, and I don't think, I've watched Ambit U, and those videos were recorded, years ago.
Yes.
And nothing really has changed. So, you've seen it from the early days with the Carlos Marin videos and all that sort of thing, and also before that with the stick figures. And so,
Yeah.
but the core of the system, how much has it held true since you first saw it?
The interesting thing is it's still the same. That's the beauty of it. There's some nuances that I think we learned over time and, that we've kind of adjusted or, should adjust. But the basis behind the system, nothing has changed. It's still the same, invitation, presentation, validation. And like I said, there may be some nuances that can enhance basically the system, but it all comes down to making sure that somebody has a list, that you invite people to take a look at this opportunity, you allow the presentation to do its job, and then you allow the third-party expert to validate and help you along that path so that you can get somebody started. That's, to me, it will never change because it just works. And so, there's a lot of people that try and reinvent the wheel and create their own, whatever you want to call it. And then they fall flat on their face most of the time. And so from day one, it's always been that procedures and that process. And so I think that's what's really the helping, perspective from people growing and having success is that we do have a system. You always hear the analogy to McDonald's. People are not buying McDonald's franchises because they're the best hamburgers. They're buying into the system. They're buying into the processes of what's there. And, we have that same exact element available here. And again, there's just some maybe different nuances that you learn and you tweak to try and support it and make it easier for people to be more successful in the business.
Yeah, and you've been a student of this system. In fact, I was at a training you did in Pittsburgh, I think, and that's the first time I saw your book that you put out, the Action Plan.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
We bought a stack of these books, and it's funny because in the business, you're always trying to figure out what can I hand somebody when they first get started. That kind of wraps everything up into one. And you've done a fantastic job of putting together this plan. Now, a couple things is that, you're sitting down with a brand new consultant and you bring out this book. Do you go through it with them, or you just hand it to them and send them off? Or, what's your procedure when you get somebody into the business?
So I throw the book at them and I run away.
Yeah.
No. Just wanted to make sure people were listening. Just verifying there for a second. No, obviously it's on the job training. Or field training is another word that I use sometimes with respect to when somebody brand new is coming into the business, and we sit down and we spend time. I mean, it's, as I said earlier, it's a relationship-based business. And so, you know, in this process of me helping them get started the right way, I'm also building a relationship. I'm getting to learn about them. I'm understanding really what's important to them, because, you know, I think the misnomer is a lot of people, you know, you hear from folks that the first thing you got to do is sit down and write a list of 1,000 names, and you got to get that list, and you got to go and drive that, you know, and just keep making phone calls. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's great. And you'll burn somebody out, and then you'll never see them again, ever again in the history. And, you know, for me, it's about building a relationship. So I want them to know that I value them, and I value their time, and I value what it is that they want out of this business. And so if you follow along in that action plan, the first thing that we talk about is your business partners, and trying to introduce people to your business partners. You know, we have a system in place of, you know, a structure in place of how we go about doing that, and making sure that we make an introductory phone call so that they get to meet somebody else, making sure that we text people saying hello and welcome to the team. You know, we do things so that we want to build this relationship. We want to ingrain people into our way of thinking and some of the things that we want to do to help them be more successful. You know, and then the second part of that is we go to the process of their why. You know, you hear a lot of people talk about their why, but really I get into the crux of what it is that they want out of this business, and how can I be and add value? How can I help them to achieve that? And so we'll talk about it. I mean, I did an action planning session not too long ago, and it really got emotional, because as we started talking about some of the reasons of why this person started their business, it really hit home all the problems that they didn't really think about, because they were masking them, because they just assumed that it was credit card debt. And so, in, you know, the simplistic way, I could have easily just said, okay, great, you want to pay off credit card debt. And we literally started talking a little bit further, and we discussed a lot more about it. And it was interesting, because what ended up happening was we figured out that the credit card debt was really just one component of why she wanted to do this business. And the credit card debt happened because she was helping out a family member. And so there was animosity there within the family member. And this breakthrough that happened in this discussion was just unbelievable, because she realized that she was basically, you know, everybody else's walking mat. And because she would just let everybody do whatever they wanted, and she'd give her credit cards to kids, to relatives. And so long story short is we ended up figuring out that the main thing that she wanted out of this business was that she wanted to pay down her credit card debt so that she could end up getting a car. And so, matter of fact, it was a Genesis G80 is the actual car. And so we took a picture of it. We made that her screensaver. And to remind her every day when she's looking at her phone that that's the plan, that's the why. And so, you know, spending time talking to her about that and really getting to the root of why she wants to do this business has really, really made a difference, I think, not only in her life, but definitely in the way that she does the business and why she wants to do this business. And so we did that, and then we go to the next process, and that is, you know, setting up some goals. And so obviously the first one is to get her money back. And so we worked on that. We got her money back in the first 28 minutes. I mean, literally in less than 30 minutes, she had her money back. And we went and we made a couple phone calls, and we asked people to support her in her business, because that's the most important thing. Is she explained why she wanted this business and what it was going to do for her, and that if they would support her in her business. And they all said, absolutely, whatever we can do, absolutely. And especially when you tie it together with why you're doing this business. I mean, it was definitely eye-opening, not only for her, but for me as well, to experience that and to be a part of it. And then we continued on sharing, you know, the opportunity with other folks. And it was a great field training session where when I left, I just felt like nothing else. It was something so different and something so empowering. And it just excited me. And we did that all through just following through the action plan and continuing through the process of the steps that we put together.
Now, something that you said that, you know, kind of hit home for me, we talked about this the other night, was you don't ask for a favor, you ask for support. And so obviously you've put a lot of thought into that. And so, you know, kind of share with some of the people on our team, you know, what the whole idea is by asking support.
Absolutely. It's interesting, because I hear a lot of people talk about favors, and they say, hey, would you do me a favor? Do me a favor. Do me a favor. And, there's been studies done that prove that the overwhelming majority, actually 8 out of 10 people, have a negative connotation associated with the word favor. And so I always tell this to everybody. I'm like, think about it for yourself. When somebody asks you, hey, would you do me a favor? Even myself, the first time I heard it, I'm like, oh gosh, what's this going to cost me? What is it that they want? Or, where's this leading with, And so if you think about that, if 8 out of 10 people have a negative association with doing a favor, you've already kind of set yourself up for failure. And so maybe you'll hit those 1 or 2, that'll do you the favor and decide to, be your customer. But really, when you ask for support, we hit and touch on a nerve that is human nature of wanting to help people, wanting to, be there and support people and assist them. And so when you tie in somebody who's asking, has their why and asks for support, and it's not going to cost you anything, we're going to try and save you some money, whether you're in a guaranteed savings market or in some of the other markets, and maybe help you get it for free. The big thing and the big item is that when you tie the why with asking for support, you're going to have an overwhelming more powerful reason and rationale for somebody to say, yeah, let me see if I can help you. And you don't have that same guarded effect where somebody's ready to just say no. Hey, do me a favor. I remember I asked my brother to do me a favor one time for something, and he started shaking his head immediately. And I was like, oh, man. And so I thought about it, and I said, okay, I'm going to go back and get him as a customer, but I'm going to ask him to support me in my business. And so I went back and I said to him, I said, John, I really could use your support. And he was like, oh, yeah, what's up? And so I was like, okay, I got you now. So I learned on that one real quick. And so, I have a friend of mine who's a linguistics expert and psychologist. And so we had gone through this process of trying to make it, to understand how words can really make a difference in getting people to make decisions and to getting people down the path. And so she kind of equated it to this, for this way to me. She said, have you ever received, phone calls from charitable organizations? And I said, of course, everybody gets them. They're always at dinner time or at the most inopportune time. And she said, exactly. She said, but what do they ask you for? And I said, money. And she said, yeah, but how did they ask you? And what's the typical line that they use? And I was like, they asked me for support. And she said, exactly. They never ask you for a favor. And I was like, you're right. And she's like, you know why they don't ask you for a favor? And I was like, why? She's like, A, because people have a negative association with it, but B, because they want to touch on your heart and on your string, basically your human emotion, so that, they're going to be more successful at getting you to, donate or to be a part of their organization. And then the last thing is they have decades of experience of learning the scripts that really get people to do and buy into what it is that they're saying. And she said, so why would you want to reinvent that wheel? Why would you want to fight uphill? And I was like, fair enough. And so, we've learned now, since we started changing that out and using the word support, we are having just gangbuster success with people getting qualified and getting paid and getting their return on their investment right as fast as when we sit down and do field training. And that's, to me, the most important thing for a brand new consultant is do you want to build somebody's belief level? Get them their money back. And you'll have somebody that'll really buy into what it is that we're talking about.
So let's just dig a little deeper on that, because another thing you said was you like to get people qualified. Kind of go a little deeper into that, because there's something to that. We were talking about, numbers and 526 and whatever. And I love how you say that, so talk to me a little bit about the psychology behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. So 526, that's our mantra. That's the company mantra with respect to getting people promoted, which is obviously an important aspect of building a successful business. But if you look, and I challenge everybody that's even watching this call right now, listening, is to look in your back office, look at the team, and look at how many people they hit that number and then they stop. And the reason they stop is, from my belief, is that it's a limiting belief, right? That's the goal. We've set the goal to be 5. And so we constantly drill that into people. You hear it just on team calls. You hear it on just everything is 526, 5555. And so what happens is people think that that's the finish line. And so, for me, that makes no sense, because I want people to continue to go and grow. and continue to add customers. When you add customers, A, you can earn more money, but B, you can open up all the levels of compensation plan. And C, you build a residual. And your residual not only for yourself, but for everybody else that's a part of your organization. And so, we've transitioned from talking about the numbers, which I believe are limiting beliefs, and using the word qualified. And again, coming back to the linguistics aspect of what qualified is. Human emotion, people want to feel successful. Using a word like qualified allows people to feel like they're successful because they've reached something, they've achieved something, and so they've qualified. And so by using the word qualified, what we've noticed is that, you don't have a number anymore. And so we don't have to tie items to numbers. So we don't say, well, you got 5 now, but now you need to get 10, and then you need to get 15, and then you need to get 20. We break it down even simpler. And so the first thing is, hey, we want to get you qualified to get your money back. We got to get you your ROI. Oh, okay, great. What do I got to do? We just got to gather a couple customers. Okay, great. And then once we're there, we're like, hey, we got to qualify you to get the bonus money. Man, don't leave that money on the table. Let's get you qualified to get the bonus money. Oh, okay, what do I got to do? We just got to get a couple more customers. And, we literally just scroll people along that process so that when they're out there sharing the plan, and if somebody says no to the opportunity, they ask for support and ask them to be a customer. And it allows them to achieve that next level, which they don't have a number associated with it. They just continue to grow. Oh yeah, I qualified for Jumpstart too. I mean, I've had people call me up and say, hey, I got $100 check. I don't know how I got it. What did I do? And I'm like, you qualified. Remember we talked about you qualified for Jumpstart too? Oh yeah, but I was focused on getting qualified for free electricity. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Don't worry about that. Just take the check. Okay, yeah, you're right. And, so we just continue that. And what ends up happening is we get to see people have more success, and they don't put a number associated with it. So they don't have to worry about whether or not they got qualified, or they have 5 customer points to get promoted to regional. They don't have to worry about whether or not they have 10 to become a senior consultant, or 15 for EC, or 20 for all levels of the comp plan. And by using the word qualified, we drive them to the next level without associating any number with it. And then once, they're at the number that they need, which is 20, we talk about being able to qualify to share. We call it the cloud, where, people after 20 can share it with their business partners or build a residual with it. And, that makes a huge difference because people feel empowered that they have enough customers and that they can continue to help other people in conjunction with what they've done. And so I love the word qualified, and I think everybody that I share that with and starts using it, they're like, yeah, it makes sense. People really want to feel like they've qualified for something. And obviously the big thing on that is make a big deal out of it. When somebody gets qualified, make a big deal. I love celebrating successes. I love celebrating people hitting different elements. And like I said, you get free energy. I'm a crazy man. I'm all over the place for you because I just think, it's awesome. And then when they get their first check, it's unbelievable to see people's excitement. So that's why I use the word qualified, to try and take the number out of it so people don't get fixated on that. And they just keep talking about it as far as getting qualified. Okay, yeah, I got to get qualified. I want to get qualified. So.
That's awesome. I mean, that was a wake-up call for even myself and Christina, because that's something I never really even thought about, between the support and then qualified. So on that same vein, what's your elevator pitch? Somebody bumps into you for the first time and they say, Frank, what do you do? And you have a 30-second pitch. What is it? Yeah,
my pitch is horrible. I'm going to be honest with you. My pitch is horrible. So, I mean, it is. It's, because it sounds cheesy. I mean, I'm going to be, it sounds cheesy. I literally tell people, they say, oh, so what do you do? I say, oh, I help people change their lives. And they're like, what? Like, it's incredulous. Like, what did you just say? I'm like, yeah, I help people change their lives. And okay, I want to hear more about that. I said, I'm glad you asked. And that's when I'll go in. I say, I'll ask them a simple question. So, do you use electricity? Of course I do. That's how I help people change their lives. Wow. How can you do that? So I'd love to share with you. And that's what I'll go into. I mean, that's literally, but now when I first started, I didn't do that. When I first started, I fumbled through. It was horrible. I was ugly. It was, I wouldn't be able to speak to you today if I kept going in that path, in that direction that I was going, because I would panic. I didn't know what to say sometimes. I don't know if I would say I was a professional network marketer, which would scare the heck out of people. But if they're on a plane with me, they're stuck, so they don't have a choice, and they're going to hear the pitch no matter what. Or I would go into the witness protection program, and I would just kind of like make sure they weren't looking at me, I wasn't looking at them, and I would panic a little bit and be like, no, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. I would sell myself to not talk to them about the business. No, they're successful. They're in first class. They're not gonna look at this. No, let me just sit here. And then I started thinking, like, I'm never gonna see this guy again in my life if I don't talk to him. So what do I have to lose? Who cares? They'll probably be like, yeah, that's one of them crazy network marketing guys. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I am. I'm up here in first class with you. So my elevator pitch now is I literally just tell people, that I get to help people change their lives, and basically through electricity. And they're like, well, how do you do that? And sometimes I get the response of, are you a broker? Are you like an electricity broker? And so I'll ask them, well, what do you know about electricity brokering? And depending upon what, oh yeah, we did this, or we had somebody come in the office and talk to us about that. And as long as I can get a response, then I'm golden from there, because I got my entree into talking to them about what we do.
That's awesome, because I know obviously for the first couple of years in the business, that was one of our biggest struggles for me personally. I know one time Christina was like, we're in a business, energy, or like she like freaked out, didn't know what to tell people. It's a business, it's an energy thing. But no, we struggle with it. Like, what do you say when somebody asks you what you do? Now, obviously, the further along you go, and the better your story is, the easier it becomes. I just, but when I first got started, it was the most difficult question to answer. Is like, what do you do? Because there's this negative, like for a lot of us, we're fearful of even saying the name of the company because of that website, Consumer Affairs, where somebody would go on and Google Ambit's a scam. And next thing you know, which now they've fixed that. We have a really good rating on there. But there was a long time where I didn't even want to say the name of the company. And so, we had to be kind of aloof, and then people say, what is it? And you'd have to kind of beat around the bush. But I feel like, we've come through those times. So, but I love that. It's great. And I remember somebody said that they just said, I'm a coach, I'm a coach. Mm-hmm. I coach people and or whatever. But that's awesome. So next one is, in your business, you've been around since day one. And has anybody that ever joined your business with a lot of potential, came out of the gate really strong, and now they're not working the business?
Oh my gosh. Woo! Is there ever anybody? Of course.
Yes. So you've had that happen. Now, a lot of times we take that personal, like it's a failure on our part, or we did something wrong. Kind of go through, how you handle that, because obviously you've had a lot of people who come into your business. A lot of people are inactive or don't work the business or giving up on their personal dreams. But how does that affect you personally? And how much time do you invest in that?
So, I just trained on this down in Houston this past weekend, and it was, I'll say this, before 2013, it would have affected me dramatically. And I have a mentor that I talk to and share things with, and I remember being at dinner with him, and it was pretty interesting, because he basically just kind of laid it on to me and said, Frank, your problem is you're too emotional, and you allow emotions to dictate what's going on with your business and what's going on in your life. And I was like, what the heck are you talking about? Getting emotional with him, and he's like, Dad, that proves my point. And so it was probably the number one thing, though, that really made a difference for me, was understanding that I can't allow other people's actions to control my emotions. And so whatever somebody decides to do or doesn't do, that's not on me. As long as I've gone through and given them 100% of my effort and given them the tools to be successful, I can't force them to be successful. And so that was a tough thing for me, because I would take it personally when, you spend a lot of time. Heck, I just had an EC right now. I'll tell you right now, I have an EC that, he's kind of gone into the witness protection program just now. And I'm like, how, what are you thinking? And, and then I found out, and I realized that, it's him. It's not me. It's not the system. It's not what we do. It's, lost a lot of weight. And so, you know, in his world now, you know, he thinks that that's the answer of what's going to be the best for him, because it's electricity is not, you know, for the lack of a better word, sexy enough for him, where, you know, now that he's lost all this weight and he thinks that, you know, it's something else, is the grass is greener on the other side. The problem is you know, pre 2013, 2014, I would have probably been hammering on him. Like, what are you talking about? How could you? You're crazy. You lost your mind. You lost your marbles. But the reality is that I know what we have. And now, you know, I tell people this all the time, you know, this is an incredible opportunity. And so, you know, some people are going to come, some people are going to leave, some people are going to have great success, and some people are going to, you know, find something else that they think is better for them. You know, the most important thing I can do is help the people that want to be helped. And the folks that don't, you know, I'll always say this, my hand is always out. I'll be more than happy to help you in any way I can. But you know, I can't drag you along. I can't force you to want to be successful in this business. I can't force you to want to build this business with me. But I sure as heck will not allow the emotional aspect of it to change what I'm doing and help the people that really want to use this as a vehicle of change for their family.
Yeah, because sometimes people think that we're not doing enough, or, you know, as a leader, or I'm not giving you the right tools to be successful. So, you know, I mean, if somebody does fail, you know, is there ever like a kind of, you go back around and say, you know, is there somewhere that I could help you, or, you know, or is it just, you just keep, you know, pressing it and moving forward?
I always ask people, you know, and I used to do this in the very beginning. I'd call people that left the business and just say, hey, you know, I'm just curious, but what was the reason why you left? What happened? What was it that maybe I didn't deliver, or that you felt that I didn't deliver? And you know, it allowed me to figure out something that I can do better in the future. And, you know, it was interesting, some of the responses I got. Some were very, you know, no, it's not Ambit, it's not you, it's me, timing, you know. I said, okay, great. You know, and then some of them had, you know, came back in later on. But, you know, I try and see and just understand, you know, everybody's at a different journey. Everybody's on a different journey. And so sometimes, you know, it's just maybe they're not the right time for individuals, or something else comes a priority in their life. And, you know, there's plenty of people that I can work with and that want to work this business, and I want to make sure that I'm available to help them build their business. And if it's not for some folks, you know, that's their decision, that's their choice. You know, I use a tagline that I say, you know, focus on the objective, not the outcome. And, you know, that's my objective, is to try and help people be successful in this business.
Okay, well, Christina wants me to write that down.
Focus on.
Yeah.
I was like, don't you have a
I think he's taking notes. Focus on the objective and not the
outcome.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So you know, obviously, I don't want to dwell on that. I mean, it's, you know,
yeah.
Some people go. So you've had a lot of success in the business as well. But when you're looking for people, now we talk about building your list. You know, I think a lot of times people get in a business like this and they stay in their comfort zone and they go after, you know, the broke brother-in-law that we all talk about. You know, I feel bad for that guy. He gets a bad rap, man.
It's a bad rap. That's right.
But anyways, you know, tell me about when you're building a list. Who are you looking for? I mean, who do you want to sit at the table with you?
So, you know, one of the key things that and it's in that action plan, when we get somebody started, you know, there's a I think Pastor Kenny used to call it speed over strategy or something like that. And I kind of did a play on words with what he does. And I said, speed is your strategy. Yeah. And, you know, the point is that you want to sit down and write the names down of everybody that you can think of, and make sure that you at least give them the opportunity to make a decision for themselves as to whether or not this is for them or it's not for them. You know, there's some folks that I thought would be fantastic in this business, and, you know, haven't done anything. And then there's some folks that I thought would be absolutely awful and have just lit it up. And so I've learned that not to judge anybody, because you just don't know, well, who's going to be in the right time, the right place for that person. And so, you know, now what I've done though is I've transitioned to where, you know, I try and talk to, you know, people that are obviously successful. I used to have a chicken list, and I think everybody had a chicken list, you know, and probably everybody still does have a chicken list. And what I've started to do is make sure that I would reach out to that chicken list, because those are usually super successful people, busy people, and those are the people that have success because they see what this opportunity can do for them. And so if it's not for them, then I try and get referrals from them. Hey, who do you know that this might be good for? I understand that it's not for you and you're busy, and I'll appreciate you supporting me and being my customer. But who do you know that this may work for you? Who comes to mind right now? And that this may be an opportunity for them. And to me, it's interesting to see what people will respond, because there's sometimes I catch people like, oh, you know what? Yeah, Mike might be good at this. Oh, you know what? Mary out there, she loves those kind of things. Let me introduce you to Mary. I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, I didn't need to talk to you anymore anyhow. So just make sure that we get you in as a customer, and then I'll go talk to Mary. And that to me is one of the key things I think about it. So I've transitioned where I look for people that are excited. I want to try and find people that are motivated and have a strong why, that really, really understand why they want to do this business. Because I don't want anybody trying. I don't need triers. I was talking about this on Saturday, and I said, the story went when I was in high school. There was another kid that was playing football with us, and he had always come to every practice. He was at every team meeting. He was at everything, but he never got in the games. And so one day he went to the coach, and he said to the coach, he said, Coach, I do everything you ask for. I come out, I bring the dummies out. I'm a great practice player. I did it. Just literally lighting it up, into the coach. And the coach looked at him stone faced and said, Rigo, let me tell you what, you're a great practice player, but you're not a game changer. I'm looking for game changers. And I was like, whoa, that hit. That's exactly what it is. I'm looking for game changers. I'm looking for people that want to see this opportunity as a game changer for them and their family. And if I can find those people, I'll run a marathon with them if I have to. Now, I may need emergency services to be around me in the event that I drop down, after the 1 mile mark, but I'm sure as heck going to give it a go.
So I'm taking notes here. All right, so the next question that just popped up was the action plan. Where do we get it at? And I know I bought mine at one of your trainings. Do you sell them online, or is there a place that our team can go to get some?
Yeah, so it's ambitactionplan.com.
Cool.
So it's there's the action plan is kind of the featured product, and each, as I start releasing different tools and things of that nature, they're a lot of money. They're about $1 each. So it's very, very tried to make as much money as I possibly can. And just kidding, they cost more than that to print, but they're $1 each. And then I had real funny story. So people have ordered them, and I was going through and I was paying retail on shipping, and I was like, I'm losing money on this. What am I doing wrong? And the guy says to me, he goes, well, what are you shipping? I said, no, they're booklets. And he goes, oh no, we have a different deal for that. I was like, son of a gun. I shipped all those out, and I lost money on it. I was like, that's wrong. So, yeah. But it's ambitactionplan.com, and there's, like I said, there's the booklets there, as well as something else that I put on there for folks that want my team pin. That's Team YJ.
Yeah, like I said, this is probably one of the best put together. We always look for something to hand somebody, right whenever they're getting started. And early in the early days of Ambit, we all got a kit,
right?
And now nobody gets a kit. Nobody's going to pay extra to have a kit. So and most of our team don't get it. So I love this. I like the size of it. I like how easy it is to hand out to somebody. And I also like your 4-minute drill in here too, because that's something we've done at trainings, but you don't see that all the time.
Right. That's how we get the list. And I think as I was talking to you the other night, my friend is, who came up with the concept and was talking to me about it, was like, hey, listen, you can do this as a drill. And the whole premise behind it was, a lot of people are not having success getting a list from somebody. And so when I was talking to her about it, I said, wait, why do you think people are not going to be willing to give me a list? It's not that they started a business. Why wouldn't they give me a list? And she said, well, you got to look at it from this perspective. That's their pride and possession. I mean, that's their most closest thing, is their sphere of influence. Wow. And if you go right at them and you haven't shown them any value, and that's, again, the reason why the book is set up that way, is that we don't do that drill until we're about 3 or 4 items into it. We've done value, 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 and then we do the list. And so the point behind that is like I said in the beginning, we introduce them to team members. We talk about their business partners. We welcome them to the team. Then we talk about their why. Then we talk about goals. Everything we've done in the beginning is about them. And so then when we do the list, that's a little bit for both of us. But because it's done in such a fashion, it doesn't feel as intrusive. And so when we do it, we make it like it's a drill, like it's a game. And so folks start writing down because they don't think about it. But the secondary aspect of that is they don't prejudge. And so you don't have time to prejudge when you're being timed for that 1 minute, and you're just writing names. And so you're not thinking about, oh, well, Doc's not going to do this, or no, Dean's not going to do this, or Mary's not going to. You're just writing names. And so then we take that, and that's what allows us to then get to that next phase and to the next process that's in that. And so, I really like the concept of how we flowed that through, and there'll be tweaks on it. I mean, I'm working on version 2.0, which will have a couple different things just based off of feedback on a checklist and a tear out and some different items to make it even more successful for people and make it even more user friendly. And the reason why we did that size was because 8.5 by 11 was just cumbersome. And when you do loose papers, people lose them all the time. And so I was trying to create something that could fit in a lady's purse, and so that they would feel comfortable with it and it wasn't obtrusive. And then secondarily to that, I didn't want a big 8.5 by 11 because it's too cumbersome. And so we tried to make it so that it's something that you feel confident and comfortable sharing with people and handing to them, that looks professional and that looks like you're organized.
I think you could fit a car in a lady's purse. That's just my personal thing, but it's amazing what they pull out of this thing.
That's true.
So anyways, I'm going to open up now to see if, go ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
Think of 1 or 2 people in your 12 years that have come into your business, whether you personally sponsored them or they came in through your team, that you've watched transform their lives through Ambit.
Oh, I can name a bunch.
Okay.
I can name a bunch. But E.C. Lynn Wynn, I'm not sure if you're familiar with E.C. Lynn Wynn. 4 years ago, Lynn would never talk to anybody. I mean, she wouldn't get up in front of a crowd. She wouldn't do trainings. She wouldn't do anything. And so 4 years, we sat down. I'll never forget it. We sat down in a Goodfellows pizzeria, and she was an SC at the time. And she said, her and her husband and then another couple, and they said, hey, listen, we're kind of stuck here as SCs. And, we really want to make this thing a go. What do we need to do? And so I said, listen, I'll be more than happy to help you. But, you got to follow the line and this is what you got to do. And I remember the first time that she had to stand up and speak. Oh, it was greatness. I told her that was one of the key things is, hey, if you want to be a leader, you're going to need to make sure that you get out in front and don't be afraid. I'm not getting up. I'm not talking. I said, well, then I guess we can't work together. And her husband was like, seriously? I said, yeah, I'm serious about that. I mean, if you want to build and be seen as a leader and you want to grow this business, you're going to have to do presentations. You're going to have to do trainings, and you're going to have to stand in front of people. You're going to have to stretch yourself, get out of that comfort zone, and stop relying on other people to do things for you. And if you were at Ambition, she spoke at Ambition. And so, that last Ambition where she just tore it up, she was awesome. And so, it's dramatically changed her, not only from a financial perspective and allowing her husband, who's very successful in the automotive industry, but to really be able to do her own thing. And so she's got 2 amazing kids, one that's in law school, one that's in UT Austin, and soon hopefully be going to med school. And so I've watched how Ambit has changed her in not only personally, but not only financially, but personally, and just as who she is as a person. And it's pretty cool to see.
That is awesome. All right. I thought of 2 other questions I had on my mind to ask you before we open it up.
Okay.
Number one is, a lot of times people get in the business and they're busy. They have a lot going on. They're busy people. What do you tell the busy person? I mean, that's who we look for, but what do you talk, how do you, coach a busy person?
So typically a busy person is very structured. And so, because, now there's some scatterheads. I mean, there's people that are busy. They don't know. Sometimes they don't even realize why they're busy. And that's a little dangerous, but that's another whole story. But, typically people that are very successful are very structured. And so one of the key things in what I teach and train is an aspect called structure. And so what we'll do is we'll segment times, specific times of when we can work this business and when I can be available to help them work this business. And so, that's one of the key elements of making sure that people understand that this is, has a daily method of operation, and when and what time is going to be, set forth for Ambit, and making phone calls or three-way validation calls or whatever it is that I need to do. Because I let them know, hey, listen, I'm a firm believer in setting expectations.
John.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, that was my son.
That's what I figured, Jim. So setting expectations, I think, is a key aspect of building this business. And somebody who's super busy is going to appreciate that, is going to understand that. And so, my time is valuable just as theirs is. And so if I'm willing to separate and segment time for them, I want to make sure that we meet and keep those time and those appointments together.
And then the other side of the coin is you get, obviously when we're building our list, we're looking for the Erics, the entrepreneurs, people with resources and influence and things like that. And there's times where you have a person who makes a lot of money in their real job. And then they do Ambit for a while, they make $100, and I've actually seen where some people just get fired up. Oh my God, I made $100. They're so excited about it. I'm looking at them like, really? But how do you really, relay the message of it's not about the 100, but it's about that residual, how do you relate that to somebody who works in big numbers?
So, I think the key thing is, and I remember this from many years ago. I was playing golf over at Cowboy Golf, and so a famous coach came on, and he was playing with another gentleman, and we got to play with them in a foursome. And so one of the things I had asked him, because I witnessed him for many years, he was a coach of the Jets, and so I'd asked him. I said, what if as a coach, what's the most important thing that you think is out there? And what made you successful? And he said, which really hit home for me, was I learned what motivated each and every one of my players. So he says, I could say one thing to one person and it would motivate him to go through a huge offensive line. He said, I could say it another way to somebody else and they would want to sit on the sideline. He said, so if you could walk away from this with anything, understand who it is and what motivates people. So in our business, you have to understand what it is that motivates individuals from what they're looking for. There are some people that are looking for recognition. There are some people that are looking for that $100. There's some people that are making just incredible amounts of money, and it's not a money thing with them. And they just want to bless people. They want to help people. They see this as a ministry almost, that they can share and help people change their lives. People that are less fortunate than they are. And so, I think the thing that I've learned over this is when somebody does have big dollars and is making, 6 figures a year and living comfortably, I listen to what they're talking about. I listen to when I'm showing it to them and what they're saying to me. And I think that's the main reason why people get excited about it, is because I want to hone in on what it is that motivates them. And so I can hear somebody who says, yeah, listen, I'm doing really well, but you know what? I know a lot of people that aren't. And so that's the path I'll take with them, and so, we talk about residual income. A lot of people understand what residual income, but overwhelming majority of people have no idea because they've never gotten it. And they don't understand the power of what residual income really is. And so getting money to show up every single month. I mean, today's Valentine's Day, and, if you're on direct deposit, you got your money today. So I got my money today. So I understand the power of residual income. And so does my wife. And so, that's, I got to make sure that I can see the money before she takes it from me, but that's sidebar. But, to me, it's important to make sure that people, you understand what motivates people, what motivates them. And so when you're dealing with a high dollar roller, somebody who makes a lot of money and it's not a financial thing, I do talk to them about, but how cool is it think about what you can do with that money as you build a residual income, whether or not you donate it to a church, whether or not you donate it to a charity of your, of your cause that you love and that you really want to support. And that's what really, I mean, I have some guys that are in my business that are multimillionaires, and it's not a money thing for them. It's a cause. They love that. They love the fact that they can take this money and they can just give it to whoever they want. And so I have some guys that, that write quarterly checks for, it's all of their residual money. They just write a check for their, whatever it is that they earn from Ambit, they write a check to a different cause, whether it be, a church organization, whether it be cancer organization, whatever it is. And that's something that I think I truly learned. And I didn't understand until probably that day I was playing and understood when coach said that you got to learn and understand each person and be able to motivate and find out what motivates people differently.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, we forget that it is a part-time business, and other people have passions in life, and this could be something that fuels those passions, and it's
right.
People work at different paces, and So the next big event we have coming up is Power Trip. You've been to some Power Trips. I've seen you at them, and so just kind of related to the team, the importance of being at an event like Power Trip.
Well, big events. I mean, any of the big events, I think it's super important, to be there, to understand, to first off, you get to hear, I think at that one, I think Jerry's going to be there. I'm not sure if Chris is going to be back from Japan, but you'll have all the different leaders that are going to be there. I know Brian and some of the folks that are over there. I mean, they just, they really put forth an incredible effort for people to have different teaching and training and learning and also just being associated and around people that are leaders in the business that really want to share with you and try and give you some good guidance and some good information. To me, that's one of the key things is I remember Clint Bruce talking at Ambition where he was talking about sharing your scars. And I think that's what a lot of people really get out of going on a Power Trip is, if I can show you a way that's, asphalt road and it's a smooth road, why not learn? Why not come there and take that information and allow yourself to be more successful? Because I don't want you going down that rocky road. I don't want you having to reinvent the wheel. Listen, I did it already. I can tell you all the screw ups that I made. I've been there, done that. I don't want people to go through that same process. I mean, when I first started, I'll tell you real fast, I had billboards. I did a wrap on my vehicle. I had ads. I did everything under the sun that was so not what you should be doing. And, so I want to share that with people. Don't do it. I've been there. I've done it. I wasted the money. I'm never getting that money back. And so, if I can share that with people and help them, and that's what you learn, I think, at, these different Power Trips, at Simulcast, at, Ambition, obviously being around everybody, it's just, to me, it's, a no-brainer if you can get there, and if it's in a local area near you, you definitely need to attend those.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we have some new people on here that are just getting started in Ambit, maybe haven't made a lot of money. They've made a few $100s, and I really encourage them to get signed up for Ambition. But there's sometimes this kind of doubt. Is it really worth going? So on the same level. Because I went to Power Trip first, but obviously Ambition is the next one after that.
Right.
If I'm brand new in this business, I've only made $200. Should I go to Ambition?
If anything, Ambition is the one you have to be at. I mean, if you had to pick, if you had to say, hey, listen, I got X amount of dollars, I want to, obviously this is a money making business. This is not a money spending or money taking business. We want people to make money. And, but if you want to come out of somewhere fired up and just excited about the direction of the company, the people that are associated with it, where we're going in the future, and be around, thousands of other leaders that are excited about this opportunity. Ambition is get on whatever it takes program. Start putting away $30, $40 now so that you can save up the money so that you can spend it to get there for Ambition, because it's a no-brainer. I mean, I think, well, not only I think, I know the data behind it, the facts are that people that show up at Ambition build bigger and more successful businesses and organizations because of the excitement that comes out when they leave and go back and fired up talking to people about this opportunity.
Yeah, not to mention all the bonuses they throw our way.
Yeah,
So
well, that's going to pay for itself, right? I mean, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, that's the truth. I mean, if you go, they have triple bonus, and you're a senior consultant. I mean, it's going to make a difference. It'll pay for itself, and you just have to have the faith of going there, because when you leave and get excited, it'll definitely pay for itself.
absolutely. So let me open up, see real quick. I don't want to keep you on here all night. I'm going to go
No
to
problem.
gallery mode and see. Does anybody have any questions? Let me see. Oh, Larry, there's Larry. I'm going to unmute you. Okay, go ahead, Larry.
Hey, thanks again. Thanks for coming on there, Frank.
My
Uh,
pleasure.
when I was down Pirate Trip here, I think it was last year, I had an opportunity. I met you there as well, but I sat with Bear at a table, and he showed me the quick 4-minute drill. But he said that you were very detrimental to helping him actually really get it going. Not that Brian McClure did, but he said you were just really one of big support. Can you think of like a couple golden nuggets that you gave Bear to kind of get him going?
Oh, we talked a lot, Bear and I. I think the key thing for me, in conversations with Bear and just with other folks, people that I talk to and mentor, is making sure that that you have a daily method of operation and that you have a structure of what it is that you're going to do. I'm a big believer in something that I call MVPs, and that is most valuable priorities. And so every day I have 3 different MVPs. And so my goal is to make sure that every day I'm moving that ball forward. I'm hitting those 3 priorities. And so whether that's, talking to new business partners, whether that's inviting people, whatever my 3 MVPs are for that day, that I can really make sure that I hone in on them. And then, one of the other things that Bear and I really went over was something we called bookends. And so that's something I actually learned from a mastermind with Darren Hardy. And so when I was out there at Darren's place and being able to really understand that and learn that, and basically a bookend is, when you wake up and when you go to sleep, those are the 2 times of the day that you control. And so what we did with that was we set a process so that in the morning we had a structure of what we were going to do for that day. And so we would make sure that we understood what it was that we were going to do. And then at nighttime, right before we went to bed, we basically reviewed and took a look at, hey, did we accomplish all the different things we set out for today? And then if we had to move anything up on a priority list for the next day. And so what we saw was the ability to be able to really hone in on what needed to get done, what wasn't getting done, and then have an accountability of, hey, making sure that we get things done. And there was repercussions in the event that you didn't. And for Bear, I mean, I don't want to say what some of his repercussions were, but there was a couple. There was a couple for him. So we had fun. We had fun doing it, and it was exciting for me to be able to work with him. And he's a great guy, and I think together we both learned a lot, in that process.
Yeah, you definitely were instrumental in his success. He gives you a lot of credit. So any other questions out there? So hands up. Am I missing anybody? Rob. All right, we got Rob Miller. You gotta scroll through everybody. Go ahead, Rob.
It was actually less of a comment, and I wanted to edify Frank for a minute. I've been at 4 ambitions now, and Mark told me to get registered right away. I hadn't even made my money back, so I know all about that. But Josh Allen, who's on here, this past year was his first ambition, and the night that he was the absolute most excited and said it was entirely worth his trip down was the night that we spoke to you in the lobby of the Anatole.
Okay.
And we were talking about electricity and where it's moving and all the different things that are going on. And one thing that I have noticed is, there's people with colorful jackets on, and sometimes they'll give you some time, pleasantries. And I can tell you that every ambition I've attended, I've seen Frank Schmaeling speaking to people for unlimited time in lobbies, including myself. And Josh was blown away that you took 20 minutes at like 11:30 at night when you were headed up to bed to stop and talk to us. And it literally, when we got back up to the room, he was so juiced up and said, it's I don't care what happens from here out. It was worth me coming.
Okay.
And I just appreciate you so much for that and for coming on here. And I just wanted to edify you to the people that are listening right now that is truly who you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So on that line, Josh has really been tearing it up. Yeah. In fact, he's going to go fishing with me and Brian McClure. I keep talking.
Oh, in Louisiana?
Yeah, he's going to go. He won the
He
trip.
won the trip, and Mark's flying for is everybody wants to go with him. You know how that is.
I just keep dropping hints, okay?
Bob's going. Larry's going.
Frank's going. We're all going fishing.
Yeah, you guys are special. I haven't been invited. I haven't gotten to that level yet.
Well, he won it. He was
won
drunk.
a raffle ticket.
Yeah, he won
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. You're gonna have a great time. I love seeing the photos when Brian's got an amazing guide there that I think is really the special sauce to what gets it. Because they limit out, like it seems like after an hour out there, and it's like, oh man, it's exciting to see. I know I love watching those pictures, so I'm sure you'll have a blast doing that. Plus, you get time to hang out and talk and fellowship and listen to Brian and all the people that are going to be there with you. So that's pretty cool.
All right. So any other questions out there? All right, guys. Well, I don't want to hold up Frank. One last thing I'm going to ask you before I let you go is that you were in the Marine Corps. How much of that training has poured over into what you do and how you live? I mean, you talk about your DMO. Mm-hmm. You're obviously disciplined in business. You treat it like that. So how much of that training has translated into your everyday life?
Everything. I mean, I think everything has been based off of, when you go in the military, whatever branch of the service it is, I think it's an eye opener. For me, I mean, I was just point of reference. I was a problem child and I needed some direction. I needed a little bit of a course correction, I think is probably the best way of saying it, because I was going down a path that probably wouldn't have been, let's just say it would have led to a bad place. And so, I think that's been one of the big things. And, for me is because of the service and just being able to, earn the title Marine and be associated with the Marine Corps has been amazing. And then parlaying that into just everything you do going forward. But I think anybody that's in the service, I mean, you got to think about somebody who's potentially given up their life to serve for this country. I mean, I think that's a special individual no matter what. But there's a lot of, again, it's just a matter of me. It was the discipline I needed, the structure that I needed. Now, if you talk to my wife, she'll tell you that I didn't learn a lot, because there's moments where she's like, dude, you have no discipline whatsoever. So, but she knows me better than anybody. So the public persona is still good. But I think for me, what's really helped out is knowing and being comfortable with who I am, and that was what the Marine Corps gave me was the confidence of listen, I'm not going to be the greatest at 99.9% of everything out there, but there'll be that 1% thing that I'm really good at, and I'm going to run with it. And so I have a lot of fun with this. I truly believe that this business is like nothing else. And, as Rob was talking, about the conversation with Josh and him, I mean, this business is, like I said, it's a people business. It's a relationship business. And so, spending time, I mean, I love that. I get excited about it. I get a kick out of it, being able to talk to people. Sometimes it kind of freaks me out when people, know me and I don't know who they are, and then I feel bad. And, so that's why I want to spend time and get to talk to people. But it's exciting for me. I mean, I just love what we do. I mean, there's nothing – I guess I can look at it from a perspective, and this is the way I look at it, is they pay me to talk to people. When I was a kid, my mom and all my mom's friends said I was either going to be a politician or, that I would be something else. And so we won't go into what that other thing is. But, they because I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy, I just get a thrill out of it. And I really love to see people's lives change from what this opportunity has been and what it's about and where we're going. And so I love the fact of being able to share and just talk, with different people and get to meet different people. I mean, heck, I mean, I got to meet the Olympics coach. I mean, the wrestling coach. I mean, from Ambit. That's awesome. The USA Olympic coach is an Ambit consultant. I mean, how awesome is that? I mean, you think about that. And we just signed up one of my ECs, Darren McClure. He just signed up a gentleman who's won 3 golds at the Olympics.
Wow.
So, I mean, these are the type of people that you get to meet. We've had mayors that are a part of this business, CEOs. It's awesome. So it's a lot of fun for me.
So yeah, thank you for your
service. Thank you very much.
And all the other military guys.
Yes.
So the last thing is that I heard a speaker there yesterday, in fact, and he said he's interested in the future because he's going to spend the rest of his life there. So, what, in your opinion, how's the future look for Ambit Energy?
I think it looks bright. I mean, I think we're fortunate enough that, and I don't think enough people understand, the day-to-day that Jerry goes through and what he does on a day-to-day basis for us. There's a lot of decisions that are made that people don't understand, but I know confidently that anything and everything that he does, and decision-wise, he's thinking about everybody, and he's thinking about not only what's good for the company, but making sure that the people out in the field, people that are, building a business and are impacted by the decisions they make, that they understand that it's done with the best intentions. And so, I think for our future, I mean, I'm looking forward to some of the things that are coming down the pike. I mean, I was joking around the other day because there's opportunities that are, that we're not even associated with, but I know are going to be opening. And I mean, it's global. I mean, there's a whole bunch of European countries that are going through deregulation right now. I know one of them, which is Norbert Henderson, will be probably the #1 consultant in that country if that opens up in the future, which they're talking about. So if you don't know Norbert is our representative from Ireland, and I mean, if Ireland open, well, it's open. So if we look at that in the future, I mean, there's just, I think there's just plenty of tremendous opportunity in front of us with, still California, Nevada, Arizona, Florida. I mean, I may be joining you guys down there in Florida. I mean, it's, exactly. There's, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And again, like I said before, this business is exciting to be able to build relationships with people and to see people's lives change because of it. I'll do that all day long. Well, obviously you work regardless of how it pays you, because this didn't pay you a dime, and none of us are on your team. So, so we do appreciate you coming on and really giving to us. So this will be posted up on our YouTube channel, and I'm sure we'll have hundreds of people come on and over the next few days and take a look at it. I think we do this 90% for her and I, because being around leaders like this is what keeps the fire stoked for us. And so we appreciate you investing in our life and the life of our team. And with that being said, we're done, and we'll unmute the lines here and let everybody say goodbye to you. So thanks a million, Frank. Appreciate you. My pleasure. Great talking with everybody. Appreciate it. All right. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Nice to see
Bye.
you.
Nice to see you.